Hi all. So here's one of my favorite dishes, and I'm going to condense the instructions on how to fix everything in about 2 minutes. This is rotisserie chicken breast strips with pan-seared blackened potatoes. It takes about an hour prep time. All you need is a half a bag of Tyson rotisserie chicken breast strips, which is about 1.5 pounds. You can get those at Costco. About 8 to 10 medium-sized potatoes, peeled and washed. They don't have to be any particular type. They can be russet potatoes or red potatoes, although I prefer red potatoes. Peel those and rinse them. And for the seasoning, we're doing extra virgin olive oil, any kind will do. Granulated garlic. I'm using pork barrel barbecue, but there's an option. You can pretty much use anything you want. This is to season the potatoes to give them a little extra kick. If you want to use Mrs. Dash or Famous Dave's Rib Rub is really good. This is just to season the potatoes to give them a little bit of color and a little bit of spice, and then a little bit of cayenne pepper for fun if you have it, and then some salt and pepper. Pretty simple, right? Okay. First, take half a bag of the Tyson rotisserie chicken breast strips, put them in a pan, put your oven on broil, 450 degrees, put them on the bottom pan, and add a 1/4 cup of water, and I'd say about 2 ounces of olive oil, and drizzle the olive oil and the water over the chicken. That keeps it from drying out and keeps it moist and tender while it's cooking. Cook it for 15 minutes on broil, and then flip the chicken like so. This is after 15 minutes. It's been cooked on broil and started to brown. I'm just going to turn the chicken over. Cook on the other side. Okay. Okay. Now everything's flipped over, and you can still see that delicious broth that the olive oil and 1/4 cup of water make. And the idea is to keep it moist and tender. So now we're going to put it back in the oven. Broil 450 degrees for 15 minutes on the other side. Oh yeah, one other thing. Once you flip it, don't forget to add a little bit of garlic. Granulated garlic. It gives it extra juicy and delicious flavor. Now let's put it in the oven. 450, 15 minutes on the other side. When it comes out, we're going to take it one more time and flip it, and it should be dry. And we'll flip it and put it in for 15 more minutes and let it crisp. Okay. Okay. Now I've peeled all these potatoes. I'm going to drain these. And now we're going to halve the potatoes. If they're extra large, we'll do quarters. Like this one's a pretty good size, so we'll do quarters. Or thirds if you will. Okay, that's kind of big. The idea is you want them to be large and meaty potatoes, but you don't want to have them so large that they won't pan fry in a decent amount of time. Okay. Now you peel the potatoes while the chicken is cooking for the first 15 minutes. And then you halve them, and then you rinse them again, get any excess starch out, clean out any dirt or impurities. Okay, now you season your potatoes. Start off with some granulated garlic. And then you can add some Mrs. Dash or some pork barrel barbecue season, which you can get at Costco also, along with the Tyson Rotisserie Chicken Breast Strips. And this gives the potatoes a little bit of color, a little bit of flavor. Or you can use Mrs. Dash or Famous Dave's Rib Rub, or you can make your own. Just something good to season the potatoes with. Oops. Okay. Marinate them real good. And then you add your secret ingredient. Well, this is for fun. A little bit of Zatarain's for kick. A little bit spicy, cayenne pepper. You don't have to have that. And then the secret ingredient, extra virgin olive oil. Any brand will do. I prefer extra virgin. It's extra good for you. Just get it wet. Get it wet and sexy. And cover it. Cover those potatoes with olive oil and toss. Okay, I'm going to show you a little secret that people don't tell people. Okay. Potatoes will tend to burn on the outside when you're pan searing them. So one trick you can do that will cut down tremendously on your cooking time. And you don't want to miss that delicious, seasoning. See all that delicious rub that you've made with the olive oil and whatever you drizzle on the potatoes. Okay, you can even add an ounce of water or two if you like. But little secret, it does tend to burn when you cook the potatoes and pan sear them. It takes a long time to cook them from scratch. So what you can do is put them in the microwave for about 5 minutes and pre-cook the potatoes. It won't hurt them. It won't change the texture or the consistency as long as they're not fully cooked when they're finished. And in 5 minutes, you take them out, put them on your pan, put them in your pan, and put the pan on high. Maybe add a little bit of olive oil and start cooking the potatoes while the rotisserie chicken's finishing up. Okay, and now I'm heating my pan, getting it real hot for you. Okay, and I only tell you about the potato trick as a time saver. You can pan sear the potatoes from raw, but if you do that, you will need to add a little bit of water every 3 to 4 minutes. Add 1 ounce to 2 ounces of water so they don't burn, because what happens is the potatoes will cook on the outside, but they won't cook on the inside. So if you pre-cook them in the microwave and get them about 3/4 finished, they'll basically be 3/4 done inside, and then when you pan sear them, you just get that nice brown finish, and you can just pop them in the pan and brown them for about 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, you can spread them out. Now I use an extra wide pan. It's actually wider than the eye. As you can see, this is like I think it's a 14-inch pan. It's great because you can cook larger quantities and it'll keep things from burning, because you can constantly rotate the food you're cooking in the middle. And if you're doing Philly cheesesteaks, you can cook the Philly cheesesteak, the ribeye, and then push it off to the side where there's no heat or minimal heat, and then you can separately saute your onions and then push them off to the side and have another layer on there around the outside. And then you can do your mushrooms and a little bit of garlic and saute those and push them to the side. And then you have 3 distinct flavors. You don't just mix it all together. And then you can put it all together at the end when you're combining your meal. So I love these big 14-inch skillets. They're amazing. Okay, so the rotisserie chicken is ready. Let's get that guy out and check it out. Should be ready for the final cook here. So this is after I rotated it one time. And now there's just a little bit of juice. A little bit of juice on the bottom. Okay, that's what you want. The idea is to keep it moist and tender while you're cooking it. So you cook it once for 15 minutes and rotate it. Turn it over for 15 more minutes and cook it on the other side. Make sure it's still moist with a little bit of water and olive oil in there. And now for the final rotation, you turn everything over one more time. Okay. And at the end, when you pull it out after the third 15-minute session, everything should come out crisp, and it will be mostly dry. It will be 95% dry and crispy. That will also cook away any fat that's in the chicken. Okay, so let's put that in for the final 15 minutes. And if you want to, for the heck of it, let's put a little Zatarain's cayenne on there too, if you like that to taste. It's your choice. Okay, and a little bit more olive oil doesn't hurt, just like a little drizzle. I love olive oil, it's so good for you. Okay. Potatoes are frying over there nicely. Okay. Mix it up a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to put this in for the final 15-minute session, the third and final. And at the end of this session, they will be ready. And everything should be crispy and 95% dry and fully cooked. Okay, now let's tend to the potatoes. Okay. So you're going to want to constantly turn your potatoes so they don't burn. Try to get the largest, flattest side on the bottom of the pan to have contact with the pan to brown nicely. See how it's starting to get that nice, beautiful crust on there. It's okay to let the potatoes initially brown on the pan for 3 to 4, maybe even 5 minutes, and they won't burn so much because they're raw, or they're 3/4 cooked because of the trick I do. But once they begin to cook and they start to brown, that's when you need to turn them. Okay, hear that whistling sound? Once the potatoes start whistling, that means they are ready to go, and they're starting to brown, and they'll easily burn, so you have to watch them. So a little trick I do, I get that delicious marinade that we made with the rub and the olive oil, added about 2 ounces of water, and this will keep your potatoes from burning while they're cooking. Whew. You can really smell that Zatarain's cayenne pepper. Super spicy. Okay. Now it's okay to add water. It's okay to add water while they're cooking to make sure they don't burn. Just like with the chicken, you want to keep it moist and tender with some kind of a delicious marinade on it, so it stays moist. But the end product you're looking for is extra crispy, and all of this will evaporate. So you'll have nice, crispy, fully cooked potatoes. But until that time, you have to keep them hydrated, or they will just burn up on the outside and they won't be fully cooked on the inside. I know this video is more than the 2 or 3 minutes initially I offered y'all, but thought I'd go ahead and give you a little insight as to the full experience here. Okay, so for the first 15 minutes you're cooking your chicken, that's when you peel the potatoes. For the next 15 minutes you're cooking the chicken, that's when you're preheating, prepping your potatoes for cooking. You can preheat them for 5 minutes in the microwave, or you can go ahead and put them in and let them start just cooking raw in the pan, as I said before, and just add a little bit of water every 4 to 5 minutes so they don't burn out before they finish completely cooking. The last 15 minutes, that's when the potatoes are really cooking. That's when I actually put mine in and start cooking. The last 15-minute session, third and final, when the food is in the oven, finishing up. And here's what they look like. They're beautiful, beautifully browned. You have to just give a little bit of love to each potato, individually turn it, and see which side needs browning. You can't just toss them randomly. You're going to have some burnt potatoes. So you kind of have to rotate each side until it's fully cooked. And if you're worried about it, you can always pop them in the oven on broil for maybe 5 minutes, and it will finish them off in case there's any that aren't completely done inside. But there you go. And these are browning and beautiful, and just they look great. And you hear them whistling. See this big one here? That one right there is pretty large. That one's going to have trouble cooking all the way through. That's why you don't make them larger than, you want to make them about the size of half a golf ball. Each potato should be about half a golf ball. And that makes for great for cooking the surface area quickly, and for fast cooking. Okay, I think we're almost finished here. This big guy here is gonna need some extra love. So see how it's starting to smoke a little bit? If it starts to smoke, get maybe an ounce of water, cut your fan on. Okay. And it's starting to smoke. That means your potatoes are burning. And if they're not fully finished cooking, then you do need to keep them moist. And you can, I have it on medium or close to high heat really. You can cut it back to about half heat while they're finishing up so they don't brown as quickly. But these are beautiful. Okay. All right, these are about finished. Let's cut this guy open. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that beautiful white inside. It's not a dull color. It's a beautiful white color. That's one of the larger potatoes. So they're ready. When they're white inside, they're done. If they're a dull color, that means they're not cooked. Okay, so now, a little bit of magic here. It's, okay, the chicken is gorgeous. It's ready. That is sexy. Let's get this out. Beautiful. Oh, you have that beautiful caramelized glaze on there. Oh, that's perfect. And that beautiful little bit of olive oil on the bottom. You want to drizzle that onto your plate. Okay, let's finish this out. And a little trick here. At the end, after you're done cooking the potatoes, I think these are done. Yeah, a little bit of garlic. Okay. At the end. And then a little salt and pepper. You can use that when you can add it when you're cooking it, but it'll take away from the flavor. You want it to have a little extra kick when people taste it. At the very end, you want to add it, just like when you're cooking a steak. You don't, unless you marinate the steak overnight, when you're cooking a steak on the grill, you put a little bit of that seasoning on there, but you want to put a little bit on when it's about 3/4 done, so people can really taste it. Otherwise, the flavor kind of tends to evaporate. That's what I think. Some people may disagree with me. Okay. All right, so these are ready. Now, let's plate these. Okay, now the little secret here is, at the end, you can either add a little olive oil to the potatoes in the pan and toss them around for a second, or, as I like to do, you can go ahead and plate the potatoes. Okay. I'm holding everything with one hand because I've got the phone over here. Trying to keep it balanced. You can plate the potatoes and then drizzle a little bit of olive oil on top, which I like to do personally. All depends on your preference. But you can, it's your choice. You definitely want to take the drippings from the pan, which is pure olive oil and just flavor. And you want to pour that over your food. Drizzle a little bit of that. That's the drippings, and like I said, I like to add a little bit of fresh olive oil at the end. Just give it a little extra flair. And you stir it in. Okay. And that olive oil will give your food, this is mine, so I'm putting extra on there. It'll give your food some moisture when you're eating, because you don't want it to be super dry. So stir it a little bit. Stir it up, stir it up, stir it up. Stir it up. All right. And voila. You have rotisserie chicken breast strips with pan-seared blackened potatoes. And it feeds 3 to 4 depending on how hungry you are. So this really could feed 4. I fix for myself and my 2 parents, and sometimes my dad can't quite eat it all, but I'm a hungry jack, so I eat it all. Enjoy!